Hello everybody, welcome back to another video by DissociaDID. This is Nin. I'm the host of the DissociaDID system. This is a channel that's dedicated to educating people about dissociative identity disorder and other mental health illnesses. I want to talk to you about seeking help and when you know that it's time to seek help. I've met so many people throughout my life who've told me things that imply that they really aren't coping on their own. There is nothing wrong with not being able to be strong 24/7 or completely healthy all the time. That's unfair to expect of anybody, and it's unfair to expect it of yourself. If you were having trouble walking on your ankle, for example, and it had been giving you pain for a short amount of time, a long amount of time, enough so that you notice it and it doesn't seem to be changing, you would go to the doctor, right? The same, if you have a cough or an illness that persists for longer than 2 weeks, you go to see a doctor. You wouldn't put off seeing a doctor because you didn't know if you had serious illness like cancer or tuberculosis or something like that. You wouldn't wait until you thought that it was that bad before you went to get checked out, because you're not a professional, I'm assuming. You're not a doctor, unless you are. And the reason you go to that doctor is to get a second opinion, a professional opinion, a medical opinion, and advice on how you can be helped and on how you can make your life better, more comfortable, or how you can change your lifestyle to make your life easier for you. It wouldn't make sense to wait until things were completely unbearable to then go and seek help, when seeking help beforehand may ensure that it never gets to that point. I've spoken to a lot of people who've struggled with their mental well-being, and I've suggested, why don't you go to therapy? And they've said, well, I don't have any mental disorders. It's not that bad. I don't have any diagnoses. I don't need to see a therapist. I'm not suicidal. I'm not struggling that much. It's not that bad. It's fine. I don't need to see a therapist. That's too much. A therapist, a psychologist, is a doctor for your brain. Not quite like a neuroscientist, but a doctor for your mental well-being, for your emotional needs and your processing needs. The brain is an organ that can malfunction just like any other. The brain is an organ that can get damaged or lose its way or stop processing things correctly. If there's something wrong with one of your other organs, you go to see a doctor, even if it's not that serious. If something is wrong with your mind and the way you're processing it, you're struggling, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling anxious, you can't stop thinking about things that you don't want to be thinking about, you can't control your urges, you can't control your emotions, you're struggling with the death of a loved one, or you're just really stressed out, you can go and see a therapist. Seeking therapy does not have to be a big deal. It should be as easy as, oh, I'm feeling unwell, so I'm going to go see a doctor just to make sure I'm okay. Oh, I'm feeling really low lately. I'd like to change the way that I'm processing this. I don't want to feel like this right now. Let me go see somebody who's trained and who can help me and make sure that everything's okay. It should be just that simple. The stigma around mental health prevents people from seeking and getting help. Getting therapy should not be seen as a huge endeavor or a frightening endeavor, and it can be very, very scary. I know the first times I've been to see therapists, I always get very, very nervous. But remember that when you go to therapy, you're paying for this session. You get what you want out of it. If they're pushing you too far, you can say, I'm not comfortable talking about this right now, or I would rather use this session to focus on this, please. You control the session, not your therapist. What you're comfortable with is what your therapist will help you work on. If you don't want to dive deep, if you just want to focus on like very basic issues and see if they can help you, see if anything deeper is going on that you might need to work on or that you could get some help for, that's great. Therapy doesn't need to be a big deal. It does not have to be a frightening endeavor. It does not have to take so much space and fear up in your mind. It is perfectly normal and healthy to go and see a therapist if you're concerned, or if you just want to feel a little happier, or a little more stable even. For some therapy, you don't even need to leave the house. For example, if you use online therapy, such as BetterHelp, who is very kindly sponsoring this video. We've used them personally before, and our partner system uses them to this day, and they have been invaluable. If you are unable to leave the house, or you don't want a big deal where you have to go and see a new person and, like, go find parking spaces and where are they? Are they close to me? You don't want to take the trip, the journey, and have all the extra stress. Sometimes it's easy to take away that extra level of fear by it's just someone on the other end of the phone, or somebody on text. If you don't want to Skype, you can ring them, you can Skype them, you can just text. You never have to see their face if that freaks you out. If you want that aspect of anonymity, you can keep that. Therapy does not have to be frightening. And what I like about BetterHelp is it takes the difficulty out of getting to therapy and removes the kind of uncomfortable aspect of having to be there and meet a person who's looking at you. If that's something that you struggle with, if you get anxious or socially anxious, then BetterHelp and online therapy is so helpful. If you get emotional and you don't want to be emotional in front of someone, maybe you feel uncomfortable opening up to a stranger. If you're doing online therapy, you can hang up the call. Or you can say, I'm sorry, this is getting too much for me. I'm done, and leave the text messages there. That is absolutely okay. If you have really busy time constraints and you can't fit your routine into a time where you could go and talk to somebody, or it feels like just too much of a big deal, too much stress to even think about trying to fit that into your schedule. When would I be able to go drive? Would there be any parking spaces? Who's even going to be available in the hours when I'm not working? BetterHelp kind of takes that stress out of it for you. They are fully licensed counselors, they know what they're talking about, and the thing that I like best is you're not always going to find the perfect match right away. I have been through so many therapists until I found one that really clicked with me. And it's okay to do that. Therapists are people. They're going to have their own approaches, they're going to have their own opinions, and sometimes you two just won't click. That is okay. With BetterHelp, if you decide that you're not getting on with your therapist, or you don't think that, that's going to work out, you can change to a new one. BetterHelp can even match you with a therapist on things such as your sexuality or your religion. If you wanted a religious or a non-religious therapist, you can choose that. Anything to do with your history, your past, what you want to bring up, what you want to talk about, whether you prefer a male or a female therapist, they'll match you all on stuff related to that. So rather than being limited to who's available at a practice near you, for example, if you're a woman and something has happened to you that's made you fear men, for example, and there's only one place near you that you could possibly get to and all the therapists are male, that could, be very, very hard and kind of ruin your chances of getting the therapy that you need in as easy a way as possible. With BetterHelp, you don't need to worry about that. And if they do match you with someone and you think they're not as educated on this particular topic as I'd like them to be, you give BetterHelp that feedback, they match you with a new counsellor. It can happen within a day. It's very, very swift, very easy. There is no commitment. It's cheaper than normal therapy, and it does not have to be a big deal. I think that sites and communities and companies existing online like this make our lives so much easier. There doesn't have to be as much fear surrounding the things that are holding on to the stigma of the past. We are living in a new world. You don't have to go down the traditional route if that route doesn't work for you and your modern lifestyle. Like I said, I've personally done online therapy. I've personally used BetterHelp. Specifically, my partner uses BetterHelp, and because they come and visit me so often and we're long distance and they move around a lot and I'm disabled, I don't drive yet, I can't get to where my therapist is, my therapist and I now have Skype sessions. My therapist isn't on BetterHelp, but my partner's is, and because my partner lives in the USA, but they're often visiting me in England, they still need that therapy. But obviously they can't continue seeing a therapist in the USA. But through BetterHelp, they're getting really good weekly therapy. They've been through a couple of therapists till they found one that they like, one that understands DID, one that is helping them. It's really taken the stress out of it for us. Because otherwise it would be like, well, how are you going to come and stay over winter? How are we going to help each other when you can't go that long without therapy? You need to be where your therapist is. Nah, your therapist can come with you in your pocket. If you're curious about online therapy, the pros and cons of online therapy versus traditional in-person therapy, we made a whole video called A Beginner's Guide to Therapy, which also works you through going to your first therapy session, what to expect, how to prepare for it, and kind of letting you know that it's gonna be fine, and helping you get to that point of thinking, no, yeah, it is gonna be fine. If you're weighing up between going for traditional therapy or an online therapy like BetterHelp, then I would recommend checking out that video. If you would like to join BetterHelp, then you can use our link, which is betterhelp.com/Chloe, and by using that link, it does help support the channel and the work and education we spread here. So if you would like to join BetterHelp and you'd like to use that link, that would be very helpful for helping us continue to do what we do. And I really, really, really hope that you get the help and support that you're looking for. Remember, you run your sessions. You get to decide what you talk about and what you don't. Your therapist can guide you, they can lead the session if you want them to, but you are always okay to say no, or I disagree with you, or I think you're taking this in the wrong direction and I'd like to take it back over here. Therapists are people. Just like you and me, they're people. You know yourself best. If you're not ready to go into something, you can say that. If you feel you need to leave a session, you can leave a session. That's okay. BetterHelp really takes the stress out of that, and online therapy for me specifically and for my partner system, especially as disabled people and in long distance relationships and people who have to travel a lot. It's really been a lifesaver for us, and I really hope that it can help some of you too. So, I hope that this video may have reassured some of you that therapy does not need to be a big deal. You do not need to have a diagnosis in order to see a therapist. You do not need to have a mental health disorder in order to see a therapist. A therapist can help you live your life in the healthiest way you can, even if you have a healthy brain. They can help teach you new ways, new coping skills to handle new life. Life changes in various ways as we grow older. We hit different milestones. We experience new things. You may get married or have children or experience bereavement or separation, new jobs, new countries moving, changes to the government and things like that. Stress is everywhere nowadays. It's okay to seek help for that and talk to somebody that you know isn't going to go talking off to anyone else because it's confidential. Sometimes it's just nice to get stuff off your chest. This is their job. They're not going to judge you. So again, if you would like to use BetterHelp, please use our link www.betterhelp.com/Chloe and use our link to sign up. And we do wish you all the best of luck with all your future endeavours and any help or assistance that you may be looking for. The best of luck to all of you. Lots of love, everybody. Bye.